Good morning. It is 8 o'clock on June 27th, and I call this special called meeting of the Dunwoody City Council to order. Unless there's an objection, seeing none, this meeting is called to order. Councilman Lambert, can you do the invocation and pledge, please?
Please rise as you were able. At this meeting, help us to make decisions which keep us faithful to our mission and reflect our values. Give us strength to hold to our purpose, wisdom to guide us, and a keen perception to lead us. And above all, keep us charitable as we deliberate. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, Miss Rob, is she here? I can't. Okay, just when you're ready, please. Oh, public comments. I'm sorry. I didn't have any cards. No cards, public comment. Come on. Thank you. There'll be another public comment session at the end of the meeting. Should you like to speak?
Okay, good morning, Mayor, members of council. I'm Delisha Robinson, Assistant Finance Director here at the City of Dunwoody. I'm here to present the second public hearing for the 2024 millage rate adoption. So if you were here last night, this will be the same presentation. After the presentation, we'll open the floor for public comment and for council. State law requires the City of Dunwoody to hold 3 public hearings to approve this year's millage rate, even though the millage rate citywide will remain 3.04 mills, the same rate as 2022 and 2023. The rate for 2024 will also include a 1 mil reduction of all homestead properties. Also, around 84% of residential houses in the City of Dunwoody have applied for and qualified for a permanent freeze of their home's value for tax purposes. So if qualified, no matter what, city taxes will stay the same. So to give some background and a timeline of events, on October 30th, 2023, the 2024 budget was approved by City Council. Within the budget, $11.3 million is the projected tax revenue from property taxes, which is about 1/3 of the total general fund revenue. On May 24th, 2024, the city received the tax digest, which is the appraised value of all properties here at the City of Dunwoody. It was received by the Board of Tax Assessors. The values approved by the Board of Tax Assessors require 3 public hearings. The remaining hearings will be held here at Dunwoody City Hall. Today is the second hearing. The final hearing will be Monday, July 8th at 6 p.m., where we will request council to consider and adopt the millage rate. So this graph shows the City of Dunwoody total digest value from 2009 to present. So despite the net digest growing 3.44% this year, calculations required by state law take into account reassessments. So the city technically has to say this is an increase above the rollback rate of 5.81%. Throughout the years, the law on advertising millage rates has caused confusion. This may be the last year that this law is in effect. Below, we want to share the percentage changes for this year. So as mentioned in the previous slide, the year-over-year net digest grew 3.44%. However, state law requires the city to advertise a tax increase of 5.81%. The state calls this the percent the rollback rate grew. It's also worth repeating that the City of Dunwoody has assisted homeowners by instilling a property assessment freeze. Homestead properties that qualify for this freeze will see no increase in their 2024 taxes. The biggest increase in the digest that affects us is the property tax freeze. The year-over-year property tax freeze grew 25.29%. The net commercial digest by itself grew 8.24%, which is something the city is always watching, while the net residential digest shrank 2.74%, in which the tax freeze and the 1 mil reduction can occasionally cause a small shrinkage. So based on the values from the Board of Tax Assessors, less possible loss on appeals and collections, the estimated revenue for 2024 will now be 11.2 million. The slight decrease of 0.3% change in the overall revenue projection for general fund of 34.6 million. On the next two slides, we just wanted to share some additional information. This graph shows the year-over-year percentage change in the net digest for the city of Dunwoody. As you can see, the prior 3 years showed a robust change. This year, we're at 3.44%. So even though the rate growth is decreasing, the digest for Dunwoody is still positive. This graph shows the net digest by category, breaking down commercial and residential. The orange line represents the commercial values, blue line represents the residential values. When you look at this by category, the net commercial values are the largest share of growth historically. We would also like to share some additional information on House Bill 581. So voters in Georgia will be asked to approve a statewide floating homestead exemption in November. If passed, all homestead values would be frozen until properties are sold except for the rate of inflation. Dunwoody's freeze, however, is more restrictive and does not allow for inflationary increases. So whether or not state law passes, Dunwoody's law will still be in effect. So staff recommends adoption of the rate of 3.04 mils at the July 8th meeting after the 3 public hearings, and will adjust the revenue accordingly. And that concludes the 2024 millage rate presentation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. With that, I will open the public hearing unless there's an objection, and I will start with the no side, which I think would mean that you're opposed to us keeping the millage rate the same. Mr. Hickey, if you'll just approach the microphone, there's 10 minutes for the no side. So whatever time Mr. Hickey leaves will be available for anyone else who wants to speak. Then we'll have 10 minutes for the yes side, who want to keep it the same. Thank you, Mr. Hickey. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
My name is Bob Hickey. I'm a citizen of Dunwoody for almost 50 years. I'm here today as an interested.
Wait 1 second, Mr. Hickey. You go ahead, start.
I've been
Thank you.
dinged off before I get started today. That's the first, okay? I usually have to go through my timeline, but anyway, I'm here today as an interested, involved, and concerned Dunwoody citizen. Just as I've done for many of these similar hearings, I'm here today to make my opinion known. In this case, I am speaking to the city's proposed 3.04 millage rate, and I object to that rate. I believe the city should consider rolling back the current millage rate to 2.873 mils, or the level that would be revenue neutral for the city. I say that for 3 reasons. Incidentally, if you can remember the 3 reasons from last night, I don't have to go through all 3 of them today. They are somewhat different. At least 2 of the 3 are different.
Okay.
My objection starts with the public notices that were just put on the board and on pages 3 and 9 of the June 13th, 2024 Dunwoody Crier are inaccurate, misleading. I agree with you, Mayor. They're very misleading. You said that last night. Very misleading, deceptive, and potentially even fraudulent. The amount that was just disclosed in the slides as the tax revenues for the city that of $11,825,556 is incorrect. It's not the revenue that's in the budget for the city. Go to pages 52 and 53 of the city budget, and you'll get the amount of the property tax revenue that is in the 2024 budget. Now, one page is different from the other, so I guess we have multiple choices for property taxes in our budget, but it's wrong, okay? The 11,825,000 is wrong. The real number in the budget is 12,697,000. That's a big difference, okay? So this tax digest public notice is wrong, okay? The city needs to explain how the city is going to account for the $871,144 shortfall from the amount that's actually in the budget than what we're going to be talking about if you maintain the current levy, okay? Considering that the city has a $14,176,168 deficit, okay? And I know you don't like that number, but it was fact checked by the crier back in the fall. That's on page 53 of the budget. With that big of a budget, and we have an additional $871,000 shortfall, how are we going to make up the difference? How is the city going to make up the difference? This is a very significant shortfall in the financial budget for a city our size. The 3.44 net tax increase in the 6-year table just presented differs from the 5.81 rate displayed in the other Dunwoody crier notice. Okay, now there's some gobbledygook explanation as to why those are different, but no average person can figure out that. How about some plain English instead of gobbledygook on why the differences in percentage from one table to the next table? The data in this on page 9, that little short public notice, is at best questionable. At best questionable, since it presents data on a house in Dunwoody with the fair market value of, get this, the fair market value comparison is $2,350,000 house. Now, other than the mayor, I don't know anybody who has a house like that in Dunwoody. Okay, there may be houses with that fair market value in Dunwoody, but it's certainly not the norm. Okay, these public notices are terrible. They are wrong. They are incorrect. They are invalid. And you need to start over and publish the correct notices. Number 2, the concerned citizens of Dunwoody have requested a comprehensive plan for the city to remedy the structural deficit problem that was presented first in the 2022 millage rate increase, okay? And secondly, during all the public data hearings on the $60 million bond referendum last year. There have been various presentations at the regular city council meetings and public hearings on the highly uncertain condition of the city finances and the urgent need to fix the structural deficit issues. We have been promised by the mayor that there would be a series of town hall meetings to present a plan, okay? That was supposed to happen in 2024. To my knowledge, okay, I'm not the smartest rock on the block. To my knowledge, nothing has been done or presented to Dunwoody citizens to provide an opportunity for citizens' input and feedback on the fix to the structural deficit. Number 3, as I said last night, the city has a spending problem, not a tax revenue problem. Okay, the property tax revenue in 2010, our first year of the city, was $6,418,000 and change. Pre-pandemic property tax revenue increased to $8,470,000. The property tax budget number this year, as I said, is $12,697,000. This is a 198% increase from 2010. Okay. Now, compare that to spending, because that's where the problem is with the city spending. Total spending in the city in the first year was $16,893,000 and change. In 2020, pre-pandemic, it was $37,556,000, or 162% increase. In this year's budget, 2024, the city plans to spend $60,812,751, a 360% increase from our initial city. This is terrible. So I object to the proposed 3.04 millage rate increase because 1, the public notices are inaccurate, misleading, and deceptive. Number 2, my fellow citizens and I still await the promised comprehensive plan to fix the structural deficit problem. And 3, the city needs to address spending, okay? Thank you for your time listening to an interested, involved, and concerned Dunwoody citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey. Sharon, how much time is left? is there anyone else who would like to speak against keeping the millage rate the same? You'll have 2 minutes. All right, seeing no one, we will have 10 minutes for anyone who might want to speak for keeping the millage rate the same. Seeing no one, I conclude, I close this public hearing unless there's an objection, and we will have council discussion questions of staff and applicants. If anyone would like to ask a question, Jay, do you have anything? Does anyone have questions? I just want to make one comment as Jay approaches, which is, Mr. Hickey, I totally have said that. In this year's legislative session, the legislature put forth a referendum for November. And as we were going through that policy procedure, it puts there's a lot of questions. And so later this year, we will combine several issues and have those meetings. Thank you.
Here to answer any questions from council.
Okay. Anybody have questions? All right. Seeing none. I believe that's all we have on the agenda this morning. I call for adjournment. I need a motion.
Move for adjourn.
Moved by Rob,
Second.
second by Tom. It was like y'all wanted to stay here all day. All in favor, say aye. And in time to be out for court? Great, thank you. Look at that. Other notices different?